All right, Peter, I'm going to start with a question that might sound a little out there. Have you ever had something genuinely strange happen to you? Something you couldn't really explain, but you never really talked about it with anyone?
Oh man, Darren, that's almost every other Tuesday for me, honestly. But yeah, absolutely. And the weirdest part is, when these things happen, my first thought isn't, oh, I should tell someone. It's usually, did that just happen? Am I losing it? Better keep that to myself.
Exactly. It's like there's this unspoken agreement among humanity that certain experiences, no matter how common, are just off limits for casual conversation. We're talking about things that aren't necessarily supernatural, but just odd. Like the fabric of reality just momentarily glitches.
Totally. And I think part of it is you don't want people to think you're crazy. You know, if you tell someone, hey, I just saw a flash of light in my peripheral vision, but when I turned, there was nothing there, they're probably going to look at you sideways.
Right? Or you hear your name called out, clear as day, but you're home alone. And then you check, and there's nobody. And you think, okay, maybe it was the wind or my imagination, but it felt so real.
That one's a classic. I've had that happen so many times, and it's always just loud enough, just distinct enough to make you pause. You're like, who's there? And then crickets or the fridge humming.
It's wild, isn't it? Psychologists actually have a term for that, auditory pareidolia, where your brain tries to make sense of random sounds by interpreting them as something familiar, like a voice. But knowing the scientific explanation doesn't make it any less unsettling in the moment.
See, that's the thing. It's not about whether there's a logical explanation. It's the experience of it. It feels real. It feels personal. And it definitely feels like something you probably shouldn't bring up at the water cooler.
Absolutely. Let's talk about another common one, déjà vu. Everyone's experienced it, right? That sudden, strong feeling that you've lived this exact moment before, even though you know you haven't.
Oh, déjà vu's my jam. Sometimes it's so intense it feels like a glitch in the Matrix. Like I can predict the next word someone's going to say or the next action they're going to take for a split second. Then it's gone.
And it's not just a vague memory. It's that specific feeling of reliving something. Some theories suggest it's a momentary hiccup in memory processing, where information gets stored as a memory a split second before you consciously perceive it, making it feel recalled.
Fascinating. But again, you rarely hear people casually discussing their latest déjà vu experience. It's like we collectively agree it's too weird, too subjective to really articulate properly.
I think that's a huge part of it. These experiences often lack a clear narrative. They're fleeting, sensory, and often don't have a beginning, middle, and end, making them hard to package into a story for someone else.
Totally. What about that feeling when you're convinced your phone just vibrated in your pocket, but when you pull it out, there's nothing there? The phantom vibration.
Oh, the phantom vibration syndrome. That one is so prevalent now. It's a testament to how integrated our devices are into our lives, where our brains are literally conditioned to anticipate those notifications, so much so that they can conjure the sensation without an actual stimulus.
It's wild, right? It shows how our minds can play tricks on us in such mundane ways. It's not a ghost, it's just my brain being addicted to my phone. But still, it feels like a weird sensory hallucination.
And it makes you question your senses, even if for just a second. What else are we misinterpreting? What about those moments where you briefly zone out, like you're driving somewhere familiar and suddenly you're at your destination with no memory of the last few minutes of the drive?
The highway hypnosis phenomenon, or just autopilot mode in general. I've walked into a room, completely forgotten why I went in there, and then walked back out, only for the reason to pop back into my head. It's like a tiny mini amnesia.
Exactly. And those are common. But again, you don't often hear people sharing these little lost time moments, unless they're telling a funny anecdote about their absent-mindedness, not really the underlying weirdness of it.
It's true. It's always framed as a quirky human flaw, not a mysterious brain event. What about feeling like someone's watching you, even when you're alone? That palpable sensation that you're not the only one in the room.
Oh, that's a classic example of our pattern-seeking brains going into overdrive. Sometimes it's just shadows, or a draft, or even the memory of a scary movie, but your brain interprets it as a presence. The hair on your arm stands up and you get that prickling sensation.
It's so primal, that feeling, and you know it's probably nothing, but still, you turn around just in case, or you get up and check the lock on the door. It taps into something very deep within us.
And I think that's why we don't talk about these things. They often touch on a primal fear or vulnerability. Admitting you felt a phantom presence could be seen as admitting you're easily scared or superstitious, and nobody wants that.
Yeah, it's a self-preservation thing almost. You want to maintain an image of being rational and grounded. But what if millions of us are having these exact same irrational, ungrounded experiences all the time?
That's precisely the point. We are having them. Think about those moments right before you fall asleep or right as you're waking up. Sometimes you see flashes, hear noises, or even feel like you're falling. Hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations, they're called.
Oh, the falling one is the worst. You jerk awake, heart racing, convinced you just plummeted off a cliff, but you're just in your bed. And the visuals, sometimes they're so vivid, like patterns or faces, for just a second before you're fully awake.
It's your brain transitioning between consciousness and sleep, and sometimes it just gets a little scrambled. But again, who's going to lead with, hey, last night I saw a kaleidoscope of eyes right before I fell asleep at breakfast?
Right? You'd get some serious side-eye. Another one I've noticed, and this one's more subtle, are synchronicities. Not necessarily like the universe is speaking to me, but just really uncanny coincidences.
Like you're thinking about an old friend and they text you within the hour? Or you hear a really obscure song on the radio right after you were humming it?
Exactly. Those moments where the timing is just too perfect. And you shrug it off, but inside you're like, whoa, that was weird. You don't usually dissect it because it feels a bit magical, I guess. And magic isn't really a topic for polite company.
It's fascinating how our brains seek patterns and meaning, even in randomness. And when those patterns align in a way that feels significant, it can feel profound. But culturally, we're taught to dismiss these as mere coincidence, not to delve into the why too much.
Yeah, and I think that's a shame because by not talking about them, we miss an opportunity to connect with people on a really unique level. Imagine if everyone just shared one of these unspoken oddities they've experienced.
We'd realize how truly common these strange things are. It would normalize the slightly bizarre parts of being human. It's not about believing in ghosts or magic, but acknowledging that our subjective reality is a lot richer and stranger than we often let on.
Exactly. It's about understanding the nuances of our own perception and consciousness, and realizing that the little glitches, the misfires, the inexplicable feelings, they're just part of the package. They make us human.
So I guess the takeaway here is, don't feel like you're alone if you've had a phantom text message, or heard your name when no one was there, or had a sudden, overwhelming sense of déjà vu. Millions of us are right there with you, just probably not talking about it.
And maybe, just maybe, next time something weird happens, instead of keeping it to yourself, try sharing it. You might be surprised at how many people nod along and say, "Oh my God, me too." It could be a fantastic conversation starter.
Absolutely. It's time we lift the veil on these everyday enigmas and embrace the shared strangeness of human experience. Thanks for diving into the weird with me today, Peter.
Always a pleasure, Daren. Here's to all the unspoken oddities out there.